How you doing, my brother?
What's good, G? What's good with your boy?
Can't complain, can't call it.
Already.
So, you want to tell people what you go by? What's your name?
APEXXSOLAR1.
APEXXSOLAR1. Where they can find you at?
On YouTube. Definitely on YouTube under current broadcast now, channel now is Soul Future. All capital letters, SOUL space Future. FUTURE. See all my programs right there. Enlightenment channel.
The beautiful thing. Young entrepreneurs creating a platform is a beautiful thing.
Exactly.
So, today, what brings us here today is I call him Wayne. Y'all can know him by whatever he wants y'all to call him, but I know him Wayne as my OG. I just want to know, because I was raised up in the era of Sugar Hill and Manhattanville, Amsterdam, which they call it Cracksterdam, and Convent, Broadway,
Right.
where we go see Poppy. I was brought up in that era. So, what can you tell me about that era coming up and how it is different from today?
True gangster era, original gangster era. That's why you call me OG, because I came through those, survived through those eras, and I'm still here with you today. But those eras is a little, to me, because of no cameras and all that, you know what I mean, a little more rougher and stuff like that. Even though, don't get me wrong, they're getting it in today, the gang life, I'm just saying. But to me, it was a little more rougher, and at the same time, I'm not going to be the one to say it was less snitching, because I'm one that said it was always snitching. That's like saying homos coming out of the closet. You know, me and you were definitely an enlightened person. I mean, homosexuality since the beginning of the planet.
Babylon.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so when they, you know, so I'm not one to say it was always snitching, man. So, but the era was just more real. You know, the prices was just more low. And
I believe there was more loyalty amongst each other.
And within crews, yeah, within different crews. Yeah, different crews. Yeah, my crew over here in Manhattanville.
And what's the name of that crew? The infamous crew.
The infamous crew, well, I come from a mob first, stick-up mob. That's what, you know, that's known in Harlem, New York.
And wasn't that brought up in Queens Flip by Mr. 52 Block?
Yeah, definitely. He spoke about us in that on that interview about the original.
Pay homage to the block,
Yeah,
respect.
homage,
Shout out to Queens Flip.
No doubt, no doubt. He's talking about us when we was teenagers. The first thing we was a mob. We would just go around just snatching ski hats and taking coats off of people, just sticking people up. That was as we was young in junior high school.
So, now saying what you said, well, please keep informed, God. We have statute of limitations, so this is no evidence against my guy right here. His statute of limitations.
Definitely.
So, going back to what I was saying.
No robbery. We talking about robbery. That's all we talking about.
Going back to what I was saying. If you guys know the history of Harlem, you guys know the infamous story of Rashid. What can you tell us about the infamous story of Rashid?
That was my man, you know what I'm saying?
Who was he to you?
That was my man, dog, my brother, my soulmate, you know what I'm saying? He was all that, man. He definitely was a real dude, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, like I said, man, when you're a big crew, what's up, here? When you're a big crew, just like me, I'm your OG. I go over here now when we leave each other and do something because I'm into what I'm into. You might, you know, probably get charged for it, but you don't know what the hell I'm doing over here. You know what I'm saying? So, unfortunately, my brother got caught up in some things outside of the crew. You know what I'm saying? And but he was into what he was into, man. I don't gotta even tell his story. Everybody know the vicious story of him, and you know, I don't know how they're gonna hear it, whether he was a hitman or whether he was this or whether he was that or nothing like that, but. He was definitely my brother, you know, but he lived, each of us lived a separate life. One didn't know what the other hand was doing, you know what I'm saying? So, things of that nature. But he was a good brother, a beloved father, you know what I'm saying? And may he rest in peace.
A beautiful, rest in peace, Rashid.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about this beautiful block right here? 30-something years. And you being on this beautiful block right here.
You tell me, well, I can start off like this. What you heard about me on this block? You can keep it raw, too. What you heard about me, even you in maybe a generation.
Want me to be honest with you?
Yeah.
What I heard about you, you was out here taking niggas' socks. People came around, you came around, people tucked shit up. Like you was Debo. That's what I heard.
That's real. That's probably real. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to, like, bang off of that, but that's what it was, man. I was into, you know, hitting everything moving, man, by any means, man. Money you know, with being into the drug game. You know what I'm saying? That ain't had nothing to do with it. I could just finish copping a brick. Nigga tell me, oh, something over there, you know what I'm saying? Let's put the guns on and go get it. So this is all like stick up stuff, you know what I'm saying, like that. Man.
So coming up in the era that you came up in and being how you were, not saying that's who you are today.
Right.
But being how you were at the time and being brought up in certain circumstances and the environment that you was brought up, did you feel forced into being how you was, or was that something that you did by choice?
That was by choice. I'm gonna be real with you, man. You got a lot of these dudes, Chi-Chi, and I'm gonna keep it real and have you probably be the best interviewer out because you know the right questions to ask, man. And when you say was that by choice, that gives me an avenue to like put a little intelligence on it, man, thanks to your brilliant question. When you ask me was that by choice, and I have to say no, wasn't by choice. And where I'm going with this is, you know how we all say, Chief, every interview you hear, every time you hear a black dude that made it talk about his struggle, about how bad it was, or we came from nothing. I would never disrespect my grandparents like that. I had a curfew. I came from something. I had good parenthood. You know, my grandparents. I had allowance. I had my own room. I had supervision. I was told to go to school.
So coming up, you would say you would say you was blessed compared to the ones around you.
Right. And I chose to be bad. You know what I'm saying? Bad was just in me, not because it was by a circumstance I had to get out. I wouldn't know what my.
Do you believe? Sorry to cut you off, but do you believe that due to the circumstances of who you was around in your environment and who you befriended, that caused you into being a certain way?
No, I'm the devil, man. I'm gonna be real. I'm a beautiful child. Don't get me wrong, but in me was always warrior. I've been told I've been bad since I was 2, 1. You know, you talk to my aunts, this, that, and I know it because I feel it. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy bad. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's just something. That's why I know who I am today, a solar warrior. Why I was chosen to be on the warrior side.
You can take the street out the gangster, but you never take the gangster out the street.
Right. And what it is true people who are really like me, who really are fearless, they get called gangster. You watch a person who just moved through life as a man, taking or just not being scared. Life titles that a gangster. I don't know nothing about a gangster. I never called myself a thug. People in the neighborhood said little bad boy.
Just a real man.
That little thug, that little bad boy. I don't say I'm a thug.
Then not to change the conversation, I'm jumping from little bullet points I had.
Yeah, go ahead.
But now saying what you said, right? When we were speaking on you being just a real man and stuff like that, do you believe that today and age the government and public media try to feminize the man today?
For sure, that's what's going on. It's been a massive what I would call male breakdown. You're not looking at real men. You're looking at men. All right, let me give you an example. Then I'm gonna answer the question directly. Just like what we got on right now, right? Say for instance, you and I wanted to go downtown to apply for a job, or we had a court date, or we had to go see our PO, right? It would be proper for you and I to now go put that assembly shirt on. Remember when you get into a courtroom or when you go for a job, they ask for a certain khaki, right? That makes it presentable. They get comfortable when you're a little bit. That was one form of it, right? The pulling the pants down, showing your ass was another form of it. They can go for that. Then you start giving men pocketbooks, calling it whatever these names they got for these pocketbooks these rappers is wearing, whatever fly name they try to put on it.
Man bags.
Man bags and all of that. And then it went to that. You know what I mean? Then we got the all out homosexuality. So yeah, the man today has been broken down. The man has been broken down. That's what you see today. So when you see me, a little rough around the edges, and people say, why don't you be a little more nicer? That's because they have now got used to dealing with what you would call gentlemen. I am not a gentleman. Now you say, ladies and gentlemen, I don't classify as a gentleman, nor meaning Gentile, the Gentile. Nor am I gentle with my touch. I don't have a gentle touch, and nor do I want a gentle touch.
Amen.
I keep a warrior's touch, and I will remain having a warrior's touch. And I tell women a lot, I'm far from being romantic. You won't get romance out of me.
I believe.
But you will be all right.
I believe the individuals that are doing this today.
Tell him to come here.
The individual.
I don't know. For some reason, he ain't coming outside. But I'm up there smoking right there on 3.
All right.
So due to everything that's going on today,
my apologies.
it's all right. Don't worry about it. We outside, live and direct, raw and uncut. We out here. So, with what we just finished speaking on, do you believe also that the government had played a toll in feminizing the man today on how back in the days, from what I was told by my older peers, that if a woman filed for welfare, she couldn't have a man in a household. That's what forced the woman into being the head of household today.
Right.
And also on how a person had to hide they new things due to the social workers coming to their apartments and making sure that their man wasn't living there and they wasn't getting new things and things of that nature. Can you touch on that a little bit?
That and some more, definitely, brother. What that was is the government plan to what you would call masculine, cut the man's penis off in the house. In other words, if your wife could make more money than you and she can do everything, you'll start looking bad. So what happened was, part of that plan was to raise the yearly salary of the woman in all fields more than a man. For you and I to go out and make at one point $13, $14 an hour, we gotta have on a hard hat, we're gonna have some kind of construction gear on. A lot of these women, with respect to the women that do hard work, they get up to go back and sit down, reception, or just do paperwork jobs at their computer. It's not labor. But if they can make more money, and I'm gonna add to that, in the 80s, they started with, I'm gonna go back to the 80s, they started with the music. They had songs come out that Europeans wrote and gave to Spanish, Hispanic, or black artists. One of the songs was given to Janet Jackson called What Have You Done For Me Lately? That was a song to demasculate the man. What have you done for me lately? And if he's really a good brother, just can't get a break on a good job, he ain't done shit for her lately. And then you had an old commercial called I Can Bring Home the Bacon Fried Up in the Pan, talk about a woman doing everything on her own. Then you had a lot of songs, No Romance Without Finance. There was an actual song called that. No romance without finance. You have to have a J-O-B if you want to be with me. You might not remember that, but I'm bringing it back.
Man, I'm a young buck. Right.
But I'm bringing it for the people who do know. And all of those type of songs, up until the rappers doing this. Now this is important. Up until the rappers starting to say, we don't love them hoes. Snoop Dogg, we don't love them hoes. That's a man starting to pitch. We can be alone with, or even in the streets. Yo, where you going? You brown nosing. What do you mean I'm brown nosing? I'm on the phone with a woman because you step away from the crowd and start talking to a girl. Four of your fellas might be like, man, fuck that bitch. Get back over here for what? I'm on the phone with a girl. And things of that nature. And we started growing into that, going for that. And what do you mean, fuck a bitch, or we don't love them hoes? It's nothing else better to do when you was in the 80s to get money and spend money on women.
Beautiful women.
We spend money on women all day. To this day, I spend my money on women. I love to give women. I don't want to be with a woman who I don't love enough to where I can't give you because I want to give you. So that started the breakdown of the man mentally for the new generation to grow up thinking they're pimps, meaning a pimp don't love no hoes. And not realizing I'm a man, I should want a woman. I'm here because of a man and a woman.
And don't you believe,
you know what I mean?
That's just one aspect of having a father outside of a home, and I say that to say this, because the crack era also played a toll in that, in a way, I believe, due to the fact that, yeah, you had these guys out here having kids with females, and now they have at one point they had a full household, the father was provided, now they're stripped for 20 years without no father, no dad. So now that right there, the son or the daughter that's there that watches their mom go through pain and watches their father go to jail is going to grow up with a resentment. And it's going to grow up not breaking the chain and doing the same thing all over again.
I need not say anymore. That's definitely an element along with the government programs that you mentioned earlier, because that goes over into the house. And like you said, he might just give up and leave out. You know what I'm saying? So when you go back to it, I want you to think. You might be too young, but I want the older people to think. When you go back to earlier television programs we used to look at, Good Times, What's Happening, and things like that. In Good Times, they struggled, and finally James got a good job, but he died. What's Happening, there was no father. But then when you go to Leave It to Beaver, when you go to the Brady Bunch and all that, these are all families, the father's there, all that. But I want you to take your mind back set to all the black sitcoms, the early ones. They was fatherless. They didn't have a father. You understand? So for children to watch that, it started young
becoming
men,
the norm.
thank you, thinking that it's the norm and trying to be men by themselves without being taught how to be men. Therefore, now
Then you have these single mothers trying to teach a man how to be a man when only a man can teach a man how to be a man.
Right. There you go.
So, due to everything that we're speaking on and how everything is trickling down and we just going from one point to the next, what do you think you could do for the? What do you personally feel you can provide for this new generation, hands-on?
Everything they need to get back to who they are, what they are, where they come from, knowing who they are, to not being a person that raise your hand and ask questions and be a knower, be somebody that knows things. I can give you the tools that you need to actually raise the new gods, because a lot of us is over with. In other words, I've been on drugs before, meaning marijuana, or I've drunk a beer before. That's about it. I've never been on a drug, a heavy drug, never took no part in no kind of drug. But all of us have, the people that's been on drugs here, the drugs in our system, whether you got clean or not, it can't be you, nor can it be your child, because you ain't been filtered. And you might have a baby and you went back to drugs, was having drugs before the baby. You have to clean out and have a child and raise that child in its purity, no drugs, and away from the educational system. And then that child has to have a baby, and then that child could be the beginning of the new 144,000 bright children that can change things, because he's came to a generation of two parents who never had drugs in their system, who themselves wasn't bothered by a government system, who had their own mind power. So it's going to take a generation to get to that, because right now we can't do it. We can't do it. It can't even be my children. It can't even be my children if they use drugs. We have to flush out. You have to have a generation of a person who never got high to have a baby, always was healthy. Then when they have a baby, that child, their grandchild, will be the one that's going to be God. And we have to raise God. We have to raise that God child, that woman or man. We have to raise that God child, that woman or man.
Amen.
So I got the element that the women and the young men need to find out who you are. But if you follow, you have to be ready to completely stow away with every other thing that you've been educated to believe, because I don't teach belief. It's not a belief system. I teach you to try to know, or to get into experimenting by way of alchemistry or whatever, so that you could know. I teach you that you have to go into a laboratory so that we can be the engineers of everything and not the consumers. We got to be the engineers, the people who actually building and engineering like we once were, and stop listening and depending on education and the news media and stuff
The first builders were colored men.
to give us. I don't even get into that. I don't even get it. You know why? Because if I'm trying to get a project built and I need it done by a date, and one of my black men or colored men is sick, and it's a white man or a green man there, he's healthy, he's in good heart, and he can physically do the work and it still get built, I'm trying to wipe out racism.
No, but when I say that, I say this. When I say that the builder was the first colored man, due to that they stripping us from our history that we really deserve to know.
Well, I don't think
You know
it's
what
our
I'm saying?
history. It's what they made up for us. It ain't even our history. They're not even stripping us of our history. That's what people don't understand. If you put a fake something in place for me and then take it away, you didn't take nothing away, because what you put there was fake. You understand what I'm saying? So everything they educated us to believe was wrong, was lies. Think about this. You know, if I put a map in front of you, right, and I say, what continent is shaped like a horse? What you gonna say? Africa. They will tell you that Africa has the horse shape on the map. That's only because that's his map. That's his calculations of the planet. And then he came and said, here's where this is at. Suppose you do your calculations and that's not where Africa is. Suppose that's not even Africa, which is not. Which they're going to tell you Africa goes back to black people, but you will still find the name Africanus, Leo something Africanus, based from European thoughts. It's a European thing.
So the continent of Africa is really originally, so you're telling me that it's originally another name that they never told us their true name of?
It's not that. Put it like this. How can it be if God created the heavens and the earth, right? And he created the earth right then and there, right? And let's say he placed beings on the earth, right? Who is Africa? Why do we have a such thing called, there was a continental drift? There came a time when the planet broke up and started separating, right?
Like tectonic plates.
Right, and different pieces were called continents. Who called them continents? You understand what I'm saying? So think of the Earth in one mass, right? Show me a place called Africa. You couldn't. We're dealing with direction, north, south, east, west, longitude, latitude, sunrise, sundown, the moon up, how we move and know science and how to get around. Until you want to put creation here and beings want to grow civilizations and take over and become human beings, and they put you under civilizations and start saying, no, now it's 4 o'clock. Because like yesterday when I was telling y'all, who the fuck came in and said it's 4 o'clock? If you look at Westerns and there's no watches and clocks, there's no time. Who put you under a time frame? So when you say before the continents, there is no continents. There's just things that broke up and somebody named that part of the land.
But it's all the same Pangea.
There you go. You already know that. But now the rulers now who's taking over the earth get to call the parts of the Pangea that broke up what they want. And if you're European and you took over and you kidnapped blacks and your name is Africanus, then they become Africans. Here's the proof of that. We weren't Americans if we were Africans, and we got took by Americans and brought to America, then what we were called? Americans. You have to be named after your captor. So to be called an African is an insult right off the break. To say you're from a place called Africa is an insult off the break. And that's what you're going to get with me. I'm going to give you that to awaken you. And then you'll stop believing. The word belief is so dangerous. I do not want nobody to believe me. I do not teach belief. The furthest thing away, the last thing I want you to do is believe me. And that's the problem with people. They hear something and go and believe it, start worshiping it. Yo, you believe that? Yeah. Do you know your Quran? Not really. Do you know your Bible? Not really. But you believe. And we don't need those weak people. And I'm not going to grow weak people. I'm going to grow strong-minded people free of thought from the educational system and any other penal system and any other system they have out here for you. Well, so that's what they are.
That's a little preview for you guys. We have another full-on documentary. It's going to be like close to almost 2 hours. Hopefully, probably get a better scenery. But this is for so far what we got for you folks. My OG Wayno. Wayno, let them know when to contact you at.
Soul Future, my guys. Soul Future, man. Capital SOUL spacebar FUTURE. Also, Apex God Body. All one word. APEXXGODBODY. That's what it is. And the next system that you're going to get involved with when you deal with me is I'm going to involve you with the solar system. All right? Holla, man.
Holla at y'all, man. Y'all have a good one.